Blackburn Rovers back in action this coming Friday night under the lights. That's right. Of course, what could happen in this game that didn't happen in the last game? We'll talk about that and much more next. That's right, folks. Back once again, another match preview. Look forward to Blackburn Rovers taking on North End at Ewood, and we'll get to that in a second. Of course, if you knew where you've been, hit the old subscribe. You want to shop for Blackburn Rovers, World Football, Championship Football. We've got it all here under one rooski. That's right. Of course, last time around at Deepdale, it was the vampire. Of course, Osmanich with the old teeth, which sunk into the back of Owen Beck's neck. That's right. Something that you'd only see in a horror movie, of course. But can Beck get his own sweet revenge this time around? Coming at you at Ewood Park. We'll get into that in a second. Of course, if you knew where you've been, hit the old subscribe. Big shout out to the members. Big shout out to the patrons. But let's jump into the deep end, of course. I'm leaving it a little bit late. Of course, kickoff is about 24 hours from now, but it is Rovers, it is North End, and is at Ewood Park, of course. Unfortunately, not much to say about this game that's going to go in favour of Rovers, because I have a look at the recent record. They have played 21 times since 2001. Rovers just winning 7 of them, North End winning 8. There's been 6 draws between the two sides. Both sides have a 4-1 highest scoreline on the record. Rovers do have more goals than Preston North End, but that's pretty much where all the good news ends. We do have an average of 1.57 goals per match compared to 1.52. Our record at the moment is pretty shitty. 3 defeats on the spin, but we currently find ourselves in 7th spot with 42 points for the season. A win for the Nubbers. They will close in 2 with just 2 of Rovers, so a good chance for them to get into the playoff discussion. And they're unbeaten now in the last 5 with a 67% form. Let's take a look at those recent run of events. Here it is. Of course, it was Action Jackson over at Deepdale at the beginning of the season. 1-1 it was. Sorry, not 1-1. It was 0-0, but 1-1 in red cards. Greenwood sent off 42 minutes. Beck sent off 8-9. But should he have been sent off? Fucking jaws galore, taking it a big old gouge at the back of Owen Beck's neck. He's still got the hole there right here, right now. So 0-0 there. 2-2 it was last time around, last season at Deepdale as well. And you've got to really roll back the years for the last time Blackburn Rovers came out on top. We've only won once in the last 6, and that was at Deepdale. Now, this is, of course, both home and away. Preston have the upper hand slightly over the last 6, just 2 wins to our 1. If you want to look at the last 6 at Ewood, it's terrible, folks. It's terrible. Rovers only winning 1 out of the last 6 at Ewood. And again, you got to go back to 2021. Not Brereton Diaz goal. It was big boy, bad boy Brereton with the goal on that one back in the 53rd minute. But since then, before then and after then, it's been a very, very good hunting ground for Preston North End. They won last time around, 2-1 winners. They won the previous time 4-1. Goodness gracious me. Fortunately, a lot of those goal scorers are gone. But that can be said for all of Rovers' last goal scorers against them at this fixture. If you want to open up over the last 10, again, doesn't look good for Rovers. We are looking for the green. There is 3 wins on the record, but of course that's overshadowed by Preston North End's wins there, 4 to our 3. And a couple of draws in the mixer in that as well. Actually, 4 draws. If you want to open up to the whole history books that I've got in front of me, it's not even good either. As you see, 81 times played. 35 wins for the visitors, 22 wins for Rovers, and 24 draws. Again, not scored as many goals as they have over the course of these 81 games. 119 goals for North End, 115 goals for Rovers. Goodness gracious me. What about the squads then? Well, it's quite similar. If you have a look at the values of the squad, 49.35 million euros for Rovers, 40 million for Preston North End right here, right now. They average around about 1.46 million euros a player compared to our 1.83. We have similar sized ages per squad, 26.9 for North End, 26.6 for Rovers, 5 national team players apiece. We have more youth national team players. They have more foreigners as of right now. Goodness gracious me, but that could change very, very soon. Quick look at the managers under the microscope now. These are, Paul Heckingbottom is proving to be what I thought he wouldn't be. Of course, I thought he was a one-trick pony, could only manage Sheffield United, but I think he's getting a tune out of this Preston North End side. And now I think they're in good hands, safe hands, and they're only going to go one way, and that is up, 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 unfortunately. Eustace, though, of course, still a credible manager, got a lot of credit in the bank for doing the bit last season, and he's still doing all right this season, but he has an average of 1.48 points per match, and that is better than that of Paul Heckingbottom's 1.43, but it is close, very, very close. His record against Preston North End is pretty shitty. He's lost 2 of the last 5 of the 5 he's managed against them, and his record against Paul Heckingbottom is awful. He has yet to get that big fat W over Paul Heckingbottom, who of course boasts a 2.29 points per match ratio against Rovers whenever he's managed them. Now, all 7 of those, I believe, were in Sheffield United colours. Bar that draw. Yeah, that draw was last time around at Deepdale. His record against Eustace, again, unbeaten against Eustace, 1.67 points per match coming at you this time around. Let's take a look then at the key players or the star players. Tyrese Dolan for Rovers, €5 million rated. He's, of course, on his way out, formerly of Preston. Remember, we picked him up when he had no career. He had nothing. He was on a scrap heap, but we picked him up. And, of course, he looks like he's going to dump us, just like Preston North End dumped him. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Sam Greenwood, of course, is the star man for Preston. He's on loan from Leeds. He's, of course, a dead ball specialist, but he did get himself sent off last time around. Take a look at the squads there. Now, this is Rovers. We look like we're going to add a couple of faces before the end of the transfer window, but I don't think nothing will be changing here. Blassus Toth remains back up to Ainsley Pears, and, of course, looks like Hayden Carter is edging closer to the team. We can't cross off, and I'll do it right here, right now, in all this glory. Carl McFadzean is a no-go. He's gone. He's out of here, and unfortunately, he's already injured, unfortunately, at Chesterfield. Meanwhile, into midfield, again, another one we could cross off the list. Get it updated. I actually should have added a couple of players to this, because this is an old template of mine. We do have Dion Sanderson. We do have Adam Forshaw, but, of course, don't know why Igor Tijuan is in there, but we need to get rid of that. He's still here. Oh, bloody hell. Let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of that, and that, and that. You know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. Of course, injuries galore across the books. No Tronstead. Travis could be back. And who will play up top? Yukihashi injured as well. Decisions. Well, speaking of decisions, these are my decisions. I'm going with this lineup. Pairs between the sticks. Beck at left back, Hyam, Bath and Britton. Of course, it has been a week or so for us since we played. Travis should be back. Buckley should be alongside him. Wyman, Catwell, Dolan and Guy. That's, of course, an okay 11 when you think about it, considering what we got. But realistically, the depth at the moment is pretty shitty. But it could be boosted, hopefully, with a 1, 2, maybe even 3 new faces, credible faces to the squad by Monday night. Meanwhile, the opposition, Preston North End, look a little bit like this. Freddie Woodman remains between the sticks. Jack Watmore has been the star man at the back there. Jordan Story as well. Magoma, on loan, I think, on Brentford, or is that a permanent deal? I don't know. Into midfield, we've got the likes of McCann, we've got Whiteman, we've got Torrenson, of course, the Icelander, Greenwood, veteran Robbie Brady on the books, and then much, much more. Up top, we've got the likes of Osmanich with the teeth, the fangs galore. MS Reels Jakobsen, Will Keane, Fronkar Jensen. They've got a whole good choice up top, a good selection board for strikers. But this is what I'm going for. Of course, it is pretty much as you were from the last game. Why wouldn't you change it with a comprehensive 2-1 win over the Borough? You got Woodman, Story, Gibson, Hughes, Kessler, Hayden on the right, Tordarson there in the middle, McCann, Magoma, Greenwood, Fronkio Jensen, and Osmanich, the teeth, the fangs galore up top. What about, of course, the star men? Let's take a little look at it under the microscope. It has been Callum Britton, the best man for Rovers, 7.11. Him and Ainsley Pears, alongside Danny Bart, well, that's pretty much where it ends, really, and Todd Cantwell are better than the best man on the books for Preston. That's Jack Watmore with a 7.06. Gibson's alongside him, Jordan Story, and then Freddie Woodman complete the top 4. Then, of course, it's a whole bunch of players in and around about that 7 mark. But what about, of course, the stats that are under the microscope? Rovers averaging around about 6.91 average per player this season. We played 29 games, scoring 32 goals, conceding 28, averaging 1.1 goals a game. As for Preston, 6.85 average per player. They have also played the same amount of games, scored the same amount of goals, but conceded a considerable amount more, averaging 1.1 goal a game as well. As for ball possession, slightly favoured Rovers, 47.3 compared to that 46.8 of Preston North End. We have 11 clean sheets to their 10. So pretty good in that regard. Women's got a lot of heat of late, but we'll see who comes out top this time around. As for the average duels, 51.1% percent won by Rovers. We have 2 red cards compared to that of North End. 50.3% duels won. 4 red cards. They probably got the worst discipline or thereabouts in the league. So that's, of course, the tale of the teams under the microscope. What about possession stats then? When in possession, Rovers more often than not coming down the right than the left, And of course, when in possession, more often can be found in the defensive third. As for Preston, similarly to that of Rovers, can be found more often than not, but only just in the defensive third when in possession, and of course prefer the right to the left. As for shot direction, Rovers prefer to shoot from the left than the right, and 58% of our shots are in the 18-yard box. As for Nobbers, they're coming at you from the right-hand side 20% of the time. 55% of the shots are in the 18-yard area. As for shots received, Rovers, defensive stature coming at you from the left when the opposition are striking, and of course 8% of their shots are in that 6-yard area. As for Preston, again, similar to that of Rovers, more often than not, shots coming down the left-hand side, and just 6% in that 6-yard box. What about the, of course, goals? How have they come out about then? Let's take a look at Rovers first and foremost at the top of the graphic there. 22 goals in open play, 5 set pieces, 3 counter-attacks, 1 penalty and 1 OG. Preston, though, similar. Of course, they scored the same amount of goals, 18 of those through open play, 7 set pieces, 4 counter-attacks, 2 penalties and 1 OG. Goals conceded, 17 through open play, 8 set pieces. That's a concern. 3 penalties given away by Blackburn Rovers. As for Nobbers, 24 goals conceded through open play, 7 set pieces, 2 counter-attacks, 2 penalties and 1 own goal. Goodness gracious. What about, of course, the resume? What's going on the books for Rovers heading into this? Well, the last 6 have been pretty shitty. The only highlight being that 3-0 win over Portsmouth at Ewood Park. After that, we've only scored the 1 goal. That was against Bristol City, so not great or stuff for Rovers, has it? Of course, Preston this time around. QPR midweek next week. Then, of course, focus switches to the FA Cup on a Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon in England. Then Tony Mowbray Derby at the Hawthorns, then Plymouth, and then Swansea. Still winnable games. But nothing's winnable at this moment because we just need some confidence. We need to get the bodies in the door. We need to get goals in the back of the net. Otherwise, it could be a shitty old season, disaster class season for Blackburn Rovers. As on the flip side, Preston, they're on the up. Picking up a win against Borough, picking up a win against Watford, drawing with Luton, picking up a win against Charlton, drawing with Oxford, and losing to West Bromwich Albion on New Year's Day. They take on Rovers today or tomorrow. Then it's Wickham in the Cup. No midweek game for them. No double match week for them. Then it's the Canaries. Then it's Burnley. Then it's Millwall. Then it's Coventry. They do seem to appear to have a more difficult run of games after this. Well, this game is pretty difficult as well if you look at it from the grand scheme of things. So Norwich ain't going to be easy. Definitely Burnley ain't going to be easy. Millwall going to be tricky. Of course, the Alex Neil derby there, and then Coventry, who are just seem to be on an uptick of form themselves. Quick look at the form heading into this one. Rovers' form at home is pretty atrocious. Just 1 win at the last, 5 games. On the flip side, Preston on the road, back-to-back games now without a defeat. Just conceding the 1 goal in the last 2. What can we expect from the game on? Take a little look then, shall we? Rovers' strengths, protecting the lead, attacking down the wings, stealing the ball from the opposition. We are, of course, bossing the air. Weaknesses, scoring chances, avoiding fouling in dangerous areas. Our style of play is through balls often. We play aggressive, and we like to play in our own half. Meanwhile, Preston, their best attacks or strengths are counter-attacks, aerial duels as well. Keeping possession of the ball is their weakness. Defending against through balls and skillful players. Protecting the lead. They are, of course, weak at avoiding fouls in dangerous areas and defending against long shots. Their style of players are coming down the right and the left-hand side. A lot of long shots, a lot of long balls. They play with width. Quite aggressive, and they do mix it up with their first 11. The forecast says high number of cards, and Rovers will steal the ball from the opposition. Well, that's, of course, what they think. What about the table thinks? Well, the table looks like this. Rovers are 7th, and a win on Friday will see us, for at least 24 hours, go into 5th spot. That's what we need right here, right now. Preston on the flip side, a win for them. They could go all the way up to bloody 11th. And then there'll be a dreamland, of course, with the playoffs not too far away. What about the journeys thus far? Rovers represented by the green. They've had a good, steady mid-table season. Well, that's what it looks like it's going to be, mid-table season. Of course, we were flirting with the playoffs for a good portion of the campaign. And currently, yes, we may win and we may get back into the top 5 or top 6, depending on what goes on. As for Preston, started off woefully with, of course, the resignation of Ryan Lowe. Then Heckerbottom's come in, and it's been a slowly but surely, steady Eddie kind of rebuild from Preston. I do think they will finish above the crest. That's right. I think they'll finish in that top 12. And of course, I think they're in good hands. He's proven to be a great appointment. The only worry for and just the same for Rovers. I'll go to camera on this. The only concern for this is being too good. Then being lured by a Leeds United, then being lured by a Sheffield United, then being lured by a higher echelon club that's looking for a championship-capable manager. So that's the only concern for both Eustace and well, not concern for them, but for Rovers and for North End, that they're doing such a good job on such limited resources, etc. What's going on around the grounds over in the Championship? Well, it's going to be a stacked out agenda with, of course, all eyes on Rovers Nobbers at Ewood Park on Friday night. Watford against Norwich, that's, of course, Saturday. Oxford against Bristol City, early kickoff, as is Plymouth against West Brom. Then, of course, the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Leeds, Cardiff, Derby, the Blades, Hull City, Stoke, Millwall, QPR, Portsmouth, Burnley, Sheffield Wednesday, Luton, and then Swansea up against Coventry. Monday night, it's the Teesside Derby, it's Borough, it's Sunderland. But before all that, we'll have our next round of predictions because it is pretty cutthroat for the time in the season right now. Quick look at my prediction then. What do I think? What do I expect on this one then? Well, it's I think we're just playing Preston at the wrong time. I think they're on a good bit of form. They've got goals in the team. They've got a bit of bite, literally and figuratively, in Osmanich and more. They are looking good. They're looking good. I think Rovers need to be at their very best to win this game. And I honestly think, unfortunately, I don't want to say this, but I don't think Preston are going to lose here today. I think it's going to, at best, Rovers can get is a draw. The confidence is not there. The depth is not there. We are at threadbare across the board. I think if we play this game in about a week's time, a week to 10 days time, when hopefully some new faces are here, then maybe, just maybe, we will be able to get back to scoring ways. But right now, I think we're struggling. We need some standout performances. We need Cantwell. We need Max de Gea. We need Dolan to really raise it up against his old club and then get us a result. Because right now I think we are lambs to the slaughter. So it's going to be a big few days, a big week, big 8 days for Rovers. 3 games, space of a week. With, of course, FA Cup against Wolves not too long ago. Anyway, go for my gut here. Going to go with a 1-1 draw. And we might have to rely on set pieces, penalties, something like that. Maybe even a red card. But I think we're in a bit of trouble here and we need to change it up. That's it, guys. Subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. We'll be there. Watch along Friday night. Until then, we are done.